Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend D.G. Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
Me hearties, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I be your Captain Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me as always is me skinny rich friend and first mate.
It's Mozz.
Welcome, Mozz, and welcome to our galaxy far, far away, a galaxy of capes and lunatics, gods and monsters, where one clan seeks to rebuild, but are among them lay the Spies, Chapter 23, Season 3, Episode 7 of The Mandalorian, The Spies. Director this week is Rick Famuyiwa. Apologies if it's not. Famuyiwa. Jon Favreau, of course, gets a good old writing credit. Dave Filoni is getting one on this one, too. Both get that co-written by Jon Favreau gets the created by, and George Lucas gets I Made It All. Mm-hmm. Created by credit. This is an interesting episode. This opens up with, I believe, our good friend Grief Karva with his protocol droid worried about an Imperial invasion.
And lo and behold,
yeah, but he has to correct him. Says, no, that's a captured ship. Look at the markings. These are our good friends, the Mandalorians. Which is actually kind of nice and sweet in its own structure. The idea that, this outlaying principality is welcoming the Mandalorians as this group that is beneficial to them. There are parallels within this in certain structures in medieval society where when you had local principalities, certain groups would be welcomed because they provided a service, whereas in other cultures, those groups would be outcast. So I do find it interesting here. He's very welcoming to the Mandalorians. But we have to imagine that Mandalorians, by and large, in society, are seen as somewhat of the dregs of society. They are. We've seen that.
Got the sense they're looked at like samurai. Like roving A-teams. Roving from town to town, solving people's problems. Mandalorian does. I mean, I haven't seen a Mandalorian do anything bad in a while. Most times you see Mandalorians, they're just like helping people out. I mean, yeah, they'll take.
Well, unless you're the one the bounty's on.
Huh?
Unless you're the one the bounty's on. Or your family's the one the bounty's on.
Yeah, well, then you're a bad guy. That's understood. But like somebody with a fledgling town, I think would be welcoming to the A-team.
Well, except in the last episode we saw, two young lovers, star-crossed, pulled apart by the Mandalorians,
Yeah, but that's affecting like two people. And I'm sure on the other side of that equation were a set of parents going, "Oh, thank you for bringing our kidnapped son back."
Well, except he wasn't kidnapped; he left willingly, and that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like when you can pay for muscle, that muscle often doesn't care why they're being paid.
No,
and that's the thing. It's like they know that they're coming in to do what they do best, and what they do isn't pretty. But that's their way, and they don't ask questions.
It almost seems like it's their reputation that solves the situation. and the trust that they have in the honor of the word of the Mandalorian to say, okay, yeah, they're not going to like kill him or whatever. They're just, okay, we can trust their word. Go ahead, go back home. We'll find our way to each other again. But right now, this situation is at an end, kind of deal, you know?
Yeah, and that is fair. And that is fair for the Mandalorians that they do have that code of honor running through them. But I would imagine it is also one of those situations when you don't need a Mandalorian. Having Mandalorians close by can be scary, you know, because obviously they are vicious, they are powerful samurai. And, you know, as much as the guy next door with, you know, 400 guns may not be a threat, sometimes you worry about the guy who feels he needs to have 400 guns in his house for no particular reason. And let's hope that.
But I think the thing with the Mandalorians, I think the thing with the Mandalorians is that they have a code that they follow so astringently that you can reason with them, right? So you can't. I mean, so it's always that paladin.
Well, the ones we've seen do, and it should be noted that Boba Fett followed no code. You know, and that I think is, you know, that's the thing that I think where it gets complex is that there's more than one kind of Mandalorian. It only takes that one bad Mandalorian that you meet to ruin Mandalorians for everybody. You know, and that I think is maybe even that deeper, complex question. As things get spread out, that, oh, well, you know what? Yeah, you know, you're a good Mandalorian, but how many good Mandalorians do we meet? But in this case, the Mandalorians are welcome. And they come in and they are having their meeting. We actually see that this is now very much Bo-Katan's story. Because this is about her merging these two tribes, these two very disparate tribes, and how they have too many differences. At least that's the feeling. There's too much difference between us that we can make peace as Mandalorians. And I think that is in many ways a common theme in most, you know, cultures, that you will have a stratification of any culture, and suddenly you have, oh, well, we don't want to be associated with you because you make up your own rules or you play the game slightly different, which we actually see an example of later on, where how these two people play a game of chess becomes the grounds for a major dispute, because one person plays in a way that they learned in their cohort, and the other person plays the way that they learned in the proper style, perhaps.
One could say one is the original style and one is the modified modern version.
Or it could be like D&D, where there's nothing in the rules that says a dog can't play basketball. But the person who says, look, I play basketball on, you know, Coruscant. This is how you play basketball. We don't have dogs playing basketball. You know, but it's like, no, man, if you're just playing and you say, well, technically the rules say that you can do this when you do that, then this does work out. You know, and you see it all the time about like people who are like applying modern thinking to D&D structures. It's like, well, you know, if you use a bag of holding to do this and you turn it inside out and all these kind of things, it's like all these structures that you can build into the story that change the relationship to the game, that people who are very rules accountants or even people who study strategy maybe don't always think about, because they're operating within certain strategies that this is, because it's a more fluid strategy, circumvents. I don't know if you watch. I don't know if you're watching Picard.
No.
Right now, or if you ever watched Next Generation.
Oh yeah.
But there's an episode of Next Generation where like Data has to fight. Doesn't fight, but he's playing a game against this in this super complex strategy game. And the first time, of course, he plays against the the living person who's like the 8 millionth level supreme master of the game. He like beats him in like 20 seconds, and everyone's like wondering what happened. He's like, well, he beat me, Then they play later at the end, and Data just plays it differently, where eventually the guy just resigns. And the guy says, I will not play this. This is a pointless game. And he walks away. I resign. And, they say, how did you beat him? He says, I didn't beat him. I just changed my strategy. Instead of playing to win, I was playing to draw. And because he didn't want to draw, he couldn't allow himself to draw, so he had to resign, because technically we could play like that forever, and I don't eat. And it's just this interesting idea. And he says, I didn't beat him, I busted him up. I affected him psychologically. And that comes again in the most recent Perich. Well, not the most recent, one of the more recent Perichs, where there is a confrontation between Data and Lore, where I feel that's exactly the strategy that Data employs, where he realizes, I'm not playing to win. I don't want to win. Winning isn't the point. The point is to draw. And that's how we win. So in this case, and again, this is getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but you have this structure of how a game is played can cause all sorts of problems within any group.
I guess the analogy I would use is like poker, right? There's the game itself, the cards that you dealt, and the probabilities of outcomes, but there's also the intimidation game, the psychological warfare game, the psyching somebody out, and that's a different dimension, so to speak. But usually, people who are involved in games like chess or whatnot, they're generally one-dimensional as far as just what the rules of the game allow, not recognizing that there are factors that can affect that game that are outside of the rule set. And someone who has a broad enough perspective can affect things in the game from things outside the game.
Yes. But anyway, getting back to the start of the episode, which is also good, we have this, they make this decision. So actually, and I actually spoke out of turn. We actually open up on Coruscant, and our little spy for the Empire. Trying to remember her name. I still say she's Omega, but we're not. People aren't ready to accept that. But Elia Kane. Elia Kane meets, and again, just to show the ineffectiveness of the New Republic, a floating Imperial droid is just wandering around the back alleys because they don't got time to chase down every droid on Coruscant. Which also makes you think that there probably were like millions of Imperial droids that just everyone ignored, that were just like, well, we'll just wait over here till someone gives us an order to do something. It's like, droids do have self-preservation, but this droid, has the conversation with Moff Gideon. Well, this droid facilitates the communication with Moff Gideon. It's the first time we see Moff Gideon back. Kane basically says, yeah, the pirates just got stomped. And she was like, and he's like, what? Your last message said that the New Republic wasn't going to help Navarro against the pirates. And they said, well, yeah, that's what happened. But it turned out the Mandalorian factions got that Bo-Katan and Din Djarin and his cohort came and retook the planet for them. It's like, but those two Mandalorians don't ever talk to each other. How is this possible? It's like, yeah, I know, but it happened, dude.
And some people using that moment, the way that he says, which Mandalorians? Like, the Mandalorians that are on my payroll? Those Mandalorians?
Yeah. Well, he knows it's not the ones on his payroll. That's the thing.
Or like people are saying that using that to justify that the armorer is his spy.
Yeah, but again, and like I said, and again, that's the thing. And like to me, this is why my own theory on who the second spy might be was Axe Woves, because in this we do have Axe Woves being the one person that actually did have a connection to an ex-Imperial, and that is, of course, Mr. Bombardier. On the planet Plots. And so if you were going to have a betrayer Mandalorian, he's the most likely. Because we also see that he's also the first one to peel off when they start to get attacked.
It seems to follow Moff Gideon's MO, though, because he targeted Bo-Katan for subverting her to his side, and he would seem like if he wanted to affect change, he would go after the person that was their de facto leader, spiritual leader, whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's and this I think is where the problem with the armorer as a villain comes out. Is the armorer, for anything you want to say about the armorer as a religious zealot, she actually believes in the way.
Right. I would really hope that it's not her.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it is, and I will defend her with my dying breath on this subject, because I think that she is all about the stability of the Mandalorian people. She wants to see the Mandalorian people return home and rebuild. That's her goal.
No, sorry. I guess we'll get to it when we get to the planet side.
Yeah, because we just started here, but this is where it's good, because of course, Bo-Katan, and we get the big feast, and yes, I'm sorry for those who weren't aware. Those foundling bird creatures, at least one of them wound up as lunch.
It had to be that thing, right?
Yeah, it had wings. I was rewatching it today, and as I'm watching it on the speak, it's like, yeah, unless there was another big bird creature.
Yeah, if you've ever trusted chicken with the wings back like that, then that's what that was.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if they ate all three, but they definitely ate one. But that's showbiz, man. I mean, that's this is a beast. This is a beast. And to be fair, these beasts ate more than a few Mandalorian younglings or foundlings. So honestly, there may have been thoughts in that, like, yeah, we could train them and ride them.
Yeah, but
you know what? I kind of want to eat them.
Such is the nature of existence. So who am I to argue with billions of years of evolution? Hey.
Yeah, and as Benjamin Franklin once said, why should I be more moral than fish? Because Benjamin Franklin was once a real strong vegetarian, and then he was on a ship for a long time, and they were running out of food, and so the sailors started casting out to catch fish, and you noticed when he was cutting up the fish that there was, within the fish, smaller fish. And he said, well, why should I be more moral than a fish? But the fish can eat fish, then I can eat fish. And so if you're
that's a dang good argument, man.
Yeah. Well, but that's the idea. If you are a Mandalorian and these creatures ate us, why should we be more moral than them? Yeah. Yes, it might be great to
think
train.
You're better than me?
Well, because it's also long-term thinking versus short-term thinking. Sure, we could raise them. Sure, we could tame them, and we could ride these mighty eagle beasts into battle. But you know what? I'm hungry now, and so let us partake. And so we have the great feast, and then then Bo-Katan does her big pitch. And I think just before this is when Din Djarin basically says, I'm your ride or die till the end. Your story isn't yet finished.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the Darksaber. I follow you, we follow you because of who you are, right?
Exactly, because that's the thing is Din Djarin doesn't care about the Darksaber.
Right.
And a lot of people don't, because it's like, if you want to get caught up on the ritual is great to say the Darksaber leads us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, it's just a toy. It's just a weapon.
It's just
a
tool. It's just a
you have to take it, and you have to prove some worthiness to take it. But at the end of the day, it's not the weapon we follow, it's the story of it. It's the worthiness of the story. And at this point,
and to him, he's saying it's not even the story, right? I mean, the story is good. It's a nice story to cling to have hope. But if you really think about the logistics of it, what do these people think is going to have their best shot at retaking Mandalore or returning to glory or unifying their people? It's not the sword. It's because they think you can actually do it. You make the sword mean something. You know, like if that somebody wielding the sword could actually accomplish these things, the Darksaber would mean nothing. I mean, it would mean something, but everybody deep inside would know that it's a hollow promise. But because it's you, people are rallying because it's a confluence of prophecy with something that they can sink their teeth into and say, yeah, I can see this happening. I can envision this.
Exactly. And I do think that is 100% the point of the story there. But she gets, you know, and of course, Din stands up, and then you get a couple other of his cohort, and then you start getting the people from Axe Wolf's cohort standing up. Please don't, while we're doing this, can you wait till we're done? Okay. Tristan's going to try and play VR, so if the Wi-Fi blows up, that's why.
Okay.
Yeah, blame me.
Always will. Anyway, moving right along. But you get the two cohorts actually coming together, and that leads them to Mandalore. That leads them to the big thing. They meet the last remaining Mandalorians, the ones that have fought since the Empire destroyed them all, the ones that have stayed. And those, I think, are some of the most interesting characters we could imagine, because they are just like, they are beat the F down, but they are still Mandalorians, and they are there, and we never swayed from our promise to you. And then we find out exactly how Moff Gideon got the Darksaber. And
with mind games.
Oh, honestly, he cheated, is what I'll say. It's like, you're gonna tell me that, oh, he just gave her the freaking Darksaber, and then you hear how he got it, and it's like, F that.
No, but at the same time, that's another example of your hand doesn't matter. I beat you, the person.
Yeah.
Thought your hand was good enough to beat me. Doesn't matter what hand I have. I'll beat you as a person. He out-psychologicaled her, and he played a game that she didn't even realize they were playing. And he did fair and square. It doesn't have to be in combat, like physical martial combat. You can play combat of a different sort. He was playing in 5 different dimensions, and she was single dimension focused, and she got bested.
But more to the point, he then went back on his promise.
Well, yeah, no, but that's part of the grander game.
I understand that, but it makes it clear you dealt unhonorably.
Oh, yeah. We're right. To him, that doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Because the Darksaber doesn't mean anything to
the
him.
Game, and he's saying, "Oh yeah, you don't even realize there's another game being played, overarching the game that you're so myopically focused on." And I'm just going to use the external factors here to mess up the game. It's the Kobayashi Maru, you know.
Yeah, well, or it's the, to me, and this is an interesting question, because to me, this is why Moff Gideon is the Nigel Higgintoot of Star Wars. If you watch Ghost, you know who Nigel Higgintoot is. But basically, he was a guy he was a rival of Alexander Hamilton. At the start of the American Revolution, he was a noted military leader. He did a lot of stuff. He invented at least in his Yes, the sniper scope, because he was the first guy to think about putting a spyglass on a musket so that you could spy in on someone and shoot them. And he's actually a very cool character on the show, although because, of course, he's a ghost, and ghosts have sort of no real power in the real world. In that universe, he's always kind of undone by his own powerlessness. But within the structure of it, it's the idea of someone who really feels they are so important to the war. And then as time goes on, they get forgotten. They get ground down by the history of what is to come. And I think actually in this one, we actually even get this with, we see one of the Huxes here. I want to say it is, but yeah, so we get in of course the First Order, there is a,
General Hux's father, I believe.
Yeah, General Hux's father is in this, and he's kind of played off as kind of something of a doofus, I guess, but not really. But you remember, like, if you ever saw the three sequel trilogies, and Hux is the leader of the First Order, and he's the one guy who at one point went in relation to Kylo Ren as, I don't care if I win, I just need him to lose. Well, except when you're petty, that's how you are, and that's the crux of the Empire, is they're stupid. These are all petty businessmen who, more than winning, just want to see someone else lose, which is ridiculous when you think about it. But if nothing else, that is literally how the Emperor made his bones. Not by losing himself, but by getting everyone else to just want other people to lose more. By selling that toxic thought process to everyone, so that it's not enough that you just live a happy life. No, you have to make someone else suffer. So, because that's, and we see this in memes all the time, where like people point out that, actually Anakin could have just left the Jedi and, married Padme and had a bunch of kids, and, it's, I'm a rich senator and you're my husband, and that's cool. I'm sure we can find stuff to do, Just because you were a Jedi doesn't mean you have to be a Jedi forever. But it's like, no, it's not enough. You have to prove the other guy wrong. It's like trying to prove the other guy wrong is always a mistake, because time will prove everyone wrong. But anyway, in this moment, we do get the meeting of everyone. We do see that the Mandalorians who are left, like, there's a couple of them that are still standing, but there's a bunch of them that are like, yeah, we have barely survived. And they're all going, I think, I can't remember if they get attacked by the big Ankylosaurus before or after. I think it's actually before, yes. But before, the armorer says, look, these guys are in no condition to fight. Let me take them back.
Yeah. I think it happens after, because that happens on the ship, doesn't it? Because once the ship gets destroyed by the dinosaur, then they start descending into the actual city.
And I gotta give it this, that Din keeps Grogu with him in this.
Yeah.
Like Grogu, he's got his new walker. He's really happy about that. He loves the walker.
Yes.
Which, we also mentioned this.
Yes.
yes. No. And that's one of the weird things that actually, to me, at times, I feel like the walker slows him down.
Yeah.
But he does love the voice aspect of it.
And he can communicate a yes and no rather than just communicating with his eyebrows, right? And he can manipulate the world around him more so than he could before. He's grabbing every bit of fruit that, he couldn't grab before. Mm-hmm. Who wouldn't want to walk around in a mech suit? I would do it even if it made me walk slower.
Oh yeah. And to be fair, it's not like he's necessarily walking slower. It's just that it's got this whole, it's got a gait to it, and later on when we see him with, well, anyway, I won't talk about that. But
I'm sure he can move fast when he needs to.
Yeah. Well, we see him move fast. Once he does his Jedi leaps, he is golden once he starts using the Force. It's like he is, which makes you understand that group, the Tridactyls, are a Force-reliant species because they are all so chock full of the Force. That's just like water to a fish. Force is all around them, so you just you just walk like, can you guys not see the Force? Which is one of those things where can you not hear it? Do you not know where it is? Yeah. It's like, this is the Force.
What, you don't realize you're wet 24/7?
Yeah, exactly. And so that I think is part of Grogu and Yoda's whole thing is that, and Yaddle, is that they see the Force. It's like their species. It's like, no, that's just the Force. It's just there. It's the same way you see light or you hear sound or you touch things. That's just another nerve receptor in us, that we see that. And in that, so he is going through his whole thing. He's got his machine, but he goes in with the rest of the crew. I really think he's like the only foundling that goes with them, which I think is interesting because we don't see Paz's kid there. Paz is like, no, my kid's not ready. Dinah's like, no, my kid's ready.
Yeah. He saved my butt on plenty of occasions.
Exactly. He knows when it comes time, this kid, he's the kid with something extra. And they go in, they do get countered. Axe Woves flies off because he says he'll alert the others to protect us. To me, that's like the part that's super sus to me.
Yeah.
Because we know that he knows Imperials, because he knows Bombardier.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Bombardier. He knows Lizzo. He knows the Duchess and her consort Bombardier. And those guys maybe aren't the coolest guys in town, but he flies off. And then we don't see him again as we go down deeper into the ambush. And it gets down to the big ambush. And somewhere in that time, because I was watching it and I noticed this, at some point, Grogu and IG-12 get separated. They're not part of that big battle inside the blast doors. And we see Din gets caught outside the blast doors. Blast doors come down, and Moff Gideon sends in his
Praetorian.
Well, not the Praetorian Guard yet. No, the Praetorian Guard are saved for Paz because right now we're just sending in
Beskar.
Yeah, the flying Beskar troopers, who appear to just be regular stormtroopers, just given the Beskar upgrade and the Beskar alloy upgrade. Not even real Beskar, because we do see that these guys are going down when they get overwhelmed. But against one Din Djarin, they capture him relatively quickly. They take him to interrogation. And then everyone else, and then the fight starts, and because Bo is actually a smart leader, starts to retreat. She uses the Darksaber not to cut through to save Din, because she knows Din wouldn't want them to do that.
Right.
She cuts open the back, and then they open what's his name opens up the blast doors, and then as everyone's getting out, Paz Vizsla, being just your ultimate heavy, doing what every freaking heavy in every story does, he holds the door.
Mm-hmm.
Hodor, hold the door. And he's like, no, I'm the big guy. This is the only reason you have the big guy in the campaign, because this is where I get my time to shine. And I'm going to burn my freaking heavy machine gun, my heavy plasma machine gun out. And then I'm just going to start punching these jamokes left and right. And when Bo-Katan says, okay, we're all through, come on, get out. He's like, no, I gotta freaking do the way. And he closes the blast door and just continues to fight. Bo-Katan respects it. She's mad about it, but she respects it. She goes. Praetorian Guard come down, and he holds his own because he is still a freaking heavy Mandalorian. You know, he's like, yeah, I get it. You know, you want to fight me, but I am the mountain. And even as I'm going down, I am going to hurt you. But they do get through him, and this is actually one of the things I always note about this is that, you know, Mandalorians fight other Mandalorians, so they know how to avoid the armor when you're trying to kill someone. So whereas everyone else is going for kill shots against armor that won't allow kill shots, the Mandalorian's like, no, you go right under the armpit, you go up over the neck, you do this, you do that. And that I think is a really beautiful bit of fight choreography about how the different people approach it. But the Praetorian Guard's like, yeah, I know we are the Praetorian Guard. We even see at the beginning of this where he actually specifically requests the Praetorian Guard because obviously that's your that's your Chekhov's Praetorian Guard.
Yeah, those
we
are your
said it in the
special
first
forces.
scene. Yeah, we're going to use them now, and they do in fact beat Paz Vizsla, and it's a tragedy,
but it's a good death.
It is the most noble of deaths in Star Wars. It's like nobody gets a death that good.
Yeah.
Like even Obi-Wan Kenobi is, with his strike me down and I'll become more powerful than you can imagine, isn't as good as Paz Vizsla's death. I want a freaking Paz Vizsla's Force Ghost to show up at some point now. You know, just because it's like, no, I died with honor. But probably to the Mandalorian, so you died with honor, you go to Stovercore or someplace, you know. It's like, you know, there's a place for you to go once you've died saving all of your friends and all of the other followers of the way. And that is death. And you know, nothing more honorable than that. Assuming there's life after death, which by the Star Wars canon we know there actually is.
Right. Where else would Force Ghosts go when you don't need them?
Exactly. It's like, no, there's a place. There's a place for all the Mandalorians. Like, yeah, right over here. But, you know, you probably had to be infused with the way to do it, you know? That's the thing. Just like you have to be infused with the Jedi, the Force. You have to know what you're doing to be one that goes beyond death. That's the trick. That's the difference between heaven and hell. There is no hell in Star Wars, but there is non-existence. But if you follow the way, you can continue, which is its own special kind of hell. And this is how we end it. This is a dark end, man.
Yeah.
That is heavy, and I am here for it. I'll be honest. I liked it. I liked that it ends so dark because it's like it's Return of the Jedi, you know?
Yeah.
When in doubt, go back to Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Or not Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back. You know?
The sacrifices make the end goal mean something more.
Well, exactly. We needed those, and I really liked what happened here. I really liked the story. Do you have any final thoughts on the story, Mozz?
No, I can't wait to watch the finale now.
Yeah, do it as soon as you can. I highly recommend it. It's fun to watch. It's a good episode. It follows. If you want, I'll be back from West Virginia sometime on Sunday, so maybe we can do something later on Sunday. Unless you want to do it Saturday, we're at the hotel. You know, but we'll figure it out. We'll discuss it and we'll figure it out. But as it stands, this was the penultimate episode. Take a drink, folks. Oh, do you have a drink? Well, take a. There we go. Take a drink. This was a good episode. Folks, if you'd like to talk to us about this episode, if you'd like to write to us about this episode, write to us at CapesandLunatics@gmail.com. That's all spelled out. Call us at 614-382-2737. Give us your thoughts. That's 614-38-CAPES. Spelled out, if you remember how phones used to have letters on them. Back in the old days, like, okay, Grandpa, phones used to have letters. I understand. Kids today don't know. But yeah, give us a call. Let us know what you thought. We'll play it on the air. We'll play it on the air before we air the final episode. If you have thoughts on the final episode, which dropped today, let us know now. Let us know now so that we can play it on the air, or any episode later if we need to, as soon as when this will air. And likewise, go down to our show notes. Go down to Linktree, linktr.ee/CapesandLunatics. Buy our merch, connect to our shows, give us free money, because we like that, either through Patreon or the Cash App. And if people do any of those things or none of those things, how can they find you, Mozz?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And likewise, write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once did, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet things like Gotham Knights from time to time, because it is strangely enthralling. At Charlie Esser, that's CHARLIE. ESSER, look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing.
Thank you, Mozz. All right, you lovable landlubbers. It's been the end of another wonderful trip. Come back again next week as we once again sail full stream ahead. Arg.